Hello guys, welcome to Air Tycoon Online, I think episode 17 now. And today is going to be a pretty good episode, I hope. Just some progress updates and some little findings here and there, wiggles and niggles about the game, which I thought were pretty interesting to know. So, one of the first things is I have opened a new hub in Chicago, and that is pretty expensive, 50,000 for the new hub and all that shit. My net profit is doing pretty good. This is actually the worst turn of the game in terms of profit. The one just passed, so this is going to be the lowest my profit is going to be. It's going to probably go up from here on out. Like, as you guys can see, it was higher before. What happened this round is I opened a new branch, so that adds up to on the expenses, so it looks really bad even though it's pretty good. And so on and so forth. So as you can see, um, is I've had a pretty steady increase in passengers or in non-passengers in uh, value gain, net profit all the time. Next thing is my rank. I'm currently fourth. I'm probably gonna pass Aves soon. My profit is higher than his. I think he's probably making around. I was talking to him. He's probably making around 80-ish K a turn, and I'm making around 120. The reason why he's been ahead of me is because he's had roughly even profit with me so far, except due to him having less leases and him now having airports. He has two airports where I only own one. Basically, the airports just kind of gain value over time and that kind of thing. So even though he's not as profitable as me anymore, his value will still keep up for turns to come until that eventually crashes. I think I'll eventually have to pass him. Um, Hopefully pretty soon. So basically, now that I have the hub of Chicago, one thing I've noticed is that there's a lot and a lot of good routes available. So we can just start taking some of those, like routes like Chicago to Santiago, or and like things like that will easily fill a plane on prices, like I'm doing right now. I could probably, realistically even get much larger aircraft in the future, 747, 767s to fly these kind of routes, which I'm making now. Um, and they'll be like very profitable, um, like no problem at all to be full, which is really nice. Um, I basically saved this. Whoops. I've basically been, finding these routes um, throughout the day and just buying the aircraft but not using them right away. I've also uh, I think I've been playing some League of Legends with Aves. I was playing some League of Legends earlier today with Aves, so wasn't really playing this game very much. Um, yeah. So what were some of the few like wiggles and niggles I was talking about that I've noticed about the game? So first of all was much throughout the earlier stages of the game, Aves actually had a much higher profit than me. Um, he had quite a significant amount over me. I remember he hit 50K before me, he hit 80K before me in profit, and through all of that, he had less airplanes and started one turn later. And I was really surprised by this. I was like, how is he able to keep up? I don't really know. Um, and basically, through observation, I think it's simply because he has more fine microplay than me. And what I mean by that is he seems to pay attention to the very little details. He manually sets the price for all of his routes. He noticed little things make a large difference, like you can save 4 to 5K here on fuel expenses by using a fuel tank. You can save 3 to 4K over here using a maintenance depot. Just recently, there's a special event going on where you can buy a lounge for just a single credit. So he noticed that before me too, and all those little things allowed him to charge higher prices than I have, um, and grow faster. And in addition to that, he had all this time he had been investing slightly more into his investments. So basically, he was also even able um, to unlock what's it called? To unlock his first hub before I did. And all this was very surprising to me and kind of eye-opening at the difference micro can make. Now, whoops, I probably didn't want to do that now, but oh well. But basically, the difference micro can make is so great. I never really like noticed this, and that's because the profit margin in this game is only around 20 to 30%. Somewhere in that range is a pretty good profit margin. And what I mean by that is if you compare your total income to total expense, if you're greater than 20%, you're already doing really well. And as you can see, my net profit is not even 20% anymore. It's less. It's less than 20%. So maybe even between 15 to 20%. Like not. I haven't done any math, but it seems to me that it's a pretty significant like amount lower um, than all previous Air Tycoon games, and not only that, um, it's so low that if you can increase that by just a few percent, 1% here and there, another percent here and there, all of a sudden you're actually going to be making much more than other people, and that's basically what Abe's noticed, and it's kind of opened my eyes to that, which is pretty interesting. Um, he was just making, I was using 1.25 pricing for most of my routes, 100% occupancy. I didn't really care much. I was like, yeah, it could make more, it could make less. I don't really care. I probably won't notice. And lo and behold, I increased my prices just 2%, and my profit goes up like, I don't know, like 5K or something, for 50K to like 55K. And of course, all this doesn't sound like much, but when this game is in the nature that it is in, where it's kind of exponential and increasing in that way, it makes a big difference. And I noticed right away that I had a higher profit, and it was very good. Basically, like I was very surprised to find um, how important little details like that were, and I'm very happy I now know. Uh, Another thing is I cannot find for the life of me a place to end this stopover. Like North America isn't quite big enough. I don't have slots in Anchorage. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll wait on that. What can I do in the meantime though? Mm, I could make a route like this, I believe. Yes, I can. And then to a city around here, maybe Gomberg. That looks pretty good. I hope this is a 3 schedule route, and it is, and I can use a DCA 11 for that. So very nice, very nice. Oh wait, no, it's a 4 schedule route. I don't want to make a 4 schedule route right now because chances are I won't remember to do it again. I guess like I won't remember to increase the amount of slots for a long time. It's good. Oh come on. Liverpool is not much better. Is Glasgow better? Glasgow is better. All right, we're using Glasgow. Um, yeah, that's kind of annoying. I need to do a lot more slot requests. I guess there's a lot of things I need to do. So Chicago to Sao Luis probably isn't the best. So I don't want the highest price. As you can see, I'm setting the price, for the first turn now. Huh. I just realized last turn I lost a lot of profit. And one of the things I did is I lowered my services by a little bit. And I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it. I was just curious because I was listening to Aves on his amount of services he provided. It's a little bit lower than mine. But then again, he does not use Tupolev's and what's the other aircraft that's pretty, and Caravel's like I do with slightly lower satisfaction. He uses the mostly Boeings um, instead. So maybe that had a thing to do with it. Now, as you can see, most of my better routes were not affected. Like the up arrow indicates that compared to the last, April last year, basically the profits. So mostly up. There's some downs in here, but I'm not too worried. Like it's very subtle. But then we get. I think we should eventually get into our Caravel ones, and it's mostly down. So that tells me my satisfaction change was not the best. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of satisfaction back into those routes. Let me see. Let me just edit one of these. I think I'm gonna have to. Where can I go? Service satisfaction. Here we go. So let's set, and let's set. I think it's the first one, and let's increase this slightly. So let's go from that to that. That's a big jump. Instead, let's add something like this and see what happens. Okay, so now next turn I can compare and see how it's doing, and it should be doing slightly better. You know what? Just to make it more evident, I'm gonna make it slightly more like something like this, basically. So this should be slightly more noticeable. Nope, that is not slightly more noticeable. That's still 30%. Um, oh, that's because... I think this is the easiest. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Something like this. No, that's not better. Oh, shoot, what am I modifying? Okay, good. I meant to be modifying this, of course. So I think... I'm having a hard time deciding on what I want here. Uh, but let's just go with this. 25, 36%. Yep. I think that's decent. Let me just check on a short range route. Hold up. Let's go Chicago to Pittsburgh, and service satisfaction 72%. So it's down from 76. I feel like I want a more significant difference. So I'm gonna go to um, even less still. Something like that. All right, that's good. Um, Wait, was it 70% before? I don't know. I think I accidentally modified that, my cheap preset too, so I gotta change that back. Let's change that to that. All right, well, I have totally brand new presets now. I have no idea if that's a good or a bad thing. I guess we'll find out. I think, though, this costs too much. Let's lower it a bit. I'm cheap. I am cheap. Let's go with that. There we go. 67%. That's a pretty good um, jump. It's about almost 10% worse than before. So now that I've spent forever doing that, all my slot requests are probably done. Yep, I am right indeed. So yeah, we can make more routes, I guess. So where did I want? I wanted Manchester. I wanted the thing next to Manchester, Liverpool. Um, Maybe I should get slots in Birmingham now. That's probably a good idea. Let's get slots in Birmingham. Yep, Birmingham is bigger than Glasgow in this world. Wow, that's surprising. I usually like Glasgow because it's a low-key, large city, and what I mean by that is it's catches people off because it's a lot bigger than it seems, which I like. Now, something like this, Dusseldorf to Chicago, is a route I want to direct. So let's do it. I'm against direct routes. But I just have nowhere to end the stopover in, which is the problem. I don't want to go really long range, like all the way here, because the Dusseldorf leg of the route can make a lot of profit. This goes against like my idea, which make the most money for the plane and not the route idea. But at the same time, thanks to the new hubbing system in ATO, which is far more difficult, or the brand new not hubbing system, the brand new freaking, what am I trying to say? A stopover system, which doesn't allow you to use any city as a middle point of a stopover. It's just, for me, a bit too hard to manage to make a company that only uses stopovers. I think now I prefer actually making some routes direct. Of course, if easily possible, still make it a stopover. And what I mean by this is, for example, you find a good route and you feel kind of bad making it a stopover. Say a very large route such as London to Phoenix or something like that. Like a decent medium sized route, London to Phoenix, and you don't really want to make this um, a stopover route because it's like, the route is so big. I could be making a lot more money from that. It doesn't feel great. Basically, what I feel like now is a better idea is you can still make it a stopover, but instead of making it a stopover which both sides are around even. Okay, I'm just gonna make this route and increase the slots later. But instead of making the route have such a long like time and low amount of schedules, what you can do is you can make the second leg of the stopover very, very short. And what that does is it still increases or decreases the amount of schedules you would have gotten from like say 6 schedules or 7 schedules a week to now 5 or something like that. Because of that second leg, when you finally buy a new aircraft for the route, like a very large one, you'll still make very good profit, um, but you won't have the downside of having the plane not be completely full. The plane will still manage to be um, basically completely full, even though you have forced to use a very large aircraft, which is really, really nice in my opinion. Basically, I find by making your routes stopovers with really unbalanced sizes or lengths of stops, it really allows you to manipulate the stopover route to really like truly basically get the most possible efficiency. Like I find it hard to imagine getting um, even more efficiency than what I just described. Uh, so what inventory do I have left? I have DC-862s, two of them. So I guess we're gonna make some longer range stopovers. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to make a route that goes to Guangzhou, basically. Oh, I should do Tripoli. Dang, that's a good route. So we can do Tripoli. This is a good example. Tripoli to Chicago is a very good route. So instead of doing Tripoli to Chicago direct, I'll do Tripoli to Chicago to Tucson, for example. And I can upgrade this to a huge aircraft later on. I still get 5 schedules, only 4 by slot, but that will be remedied. Don't you guys worry. Um, it's gonna be like this for a while, but it will eventually get remedied. But so 5 schedules of this instead of 7 schedules of direct. Um, Basically, it'll allow me to put a much larger aircraft on it in the future, which will make a shit ton of money. Like, I can't wait till I unlock the 747, and I'm allowed to just go ham with massive, massive routes. Now, as you can see, I ran out of slots in Chicago, which makes the game boring. So I'm just going to consider my options for stopovers right now. One thing that changed, which you guys probably know of if you play, is I cannot use any city as a stopover right now. So you will know in previous Air Tycoons, you've probably seen me do this, is you see me take every little city in range and I make a stopover. Now, I can't do that anymore, so I don't know how I'm going to use most of these North American cities. Um, yes, I used to take every single one of these routes, but what am I going to do now? Going the other way. I just don't know. Like, there's not enough cities on the other side of Chicago, for example, for me to do anything. Like, I'll eventually, use literally every single one of these little towns and things like that as second halves of a stopover. But there's just not enough cities like around Chicago, especially considering how many I've already like used for Tupolevs basically, which is, I guess, unintelligent of me to occupy so many of these routes with Tupolevs. But at the same time, yeah, I really feel like I shouldn't have done that now. But at the same time, like I I buy so many Tupolevs not in order to use the Tupolevs, but in order to lease more DC-8 so I can actually make these routes. So I guess in the future I should just simply remove the Tupolevs once I have enough money. But yeah, so stopovers. That was a very abrupt change. Sorry, but I want to make a stopover to Guangzhou basically, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna use Helsinki. And the reason for that is it's one of the few stopover enabled cities around the right location for me to do so. Um, I also have Bucharest, but I have no slots in Bucharest. Um, and I think Bucharest to Guangzhou is taken. Yeah, so can't use Bucharest. So where do I have left? Warsaw taken to Chicago. Cairo is slightly out of range. Too bad. Tel Aviv out of range. Ankara cannot be used as stopovers anymore. So yeah, it always just comes back to the fact I should probably just use good old Helsinki up there. Just nothing else. So yeah. Um, well, anyways, I'm getting kind of bored of recording right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I have a few airplanes. You probably imagine what kind of routes I'll make with those. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.